Hello. So welcome to another one of my little chat box things where I just kind of talk about stuff I want to talk about. It's been a while since I did one of these and a while since I've done a normal video on the main channel either. And so I kind of just wanted to jump in here and kind of give an update and talk about some stuff that's going on, and then just some stuff that I've been interested in and that I've been kind of wanting to maybe promote a little bit to the 3 people who are currently subscribed to this channel. But anyway, let's get started. So yeah, first of all, what has been going on? I talked in my last video here about how I was making a video on Minidisc and specifically about repairing my Minidisc player that I've had sitting in my garage for years. And yeah, so I started working on that. It was originally supposed to just be a very simple repair video, kind of like the ones that I used to do a long time ago when I first started this channel. Although hopefully now with a little better production quality, a little better skills, all that. So I started filming this and the repair actually went well. I mean, spoiler alert, the repair went fine. It was too simple of a video. I'm often guilty of scope creep. If you've ever heard that term, that's when you start out trying to do something simple and, you keep adding things onto it. And, large companies are guilty of this all the time. It's hard to kind of start with a simple idea and just keep it simple. So I had this simple idea, I had this repair footage. And then of course I started adding backstory about Minidisc and then talking about other formats and all this stuff, and then I got busy with work and whatever. You probably know, if you've watched any of my videos, this is a hobby. It's not my job. I'm not like one of those big YouTubers doing retro stuff that like this is what they do to make money. I do this as a hobby when I can, and I kind of got into a little thing where I was really busy for a few weeks, and then I came back to the video and I was like, oh, this still needs a lot of work. And that's kind of where I just have left it. That's kind of the state that this video is in. I've kind of been away from it for a little while, and now I'm trying to return to it. I'm in one of those periods now where I have like 10 days off, and I want to get it done, man. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do with it now. It's like it's a mess at the moment. To kind of talk a little more detail about what I'm doing in that video, again, Minidisc repair. It was a very simple kind of loading belt thing like you've probably seen on other channels that have covered Minidisc. And then I repainted it. It's a gold player. It's been repainted. And then my plan was to kind of compare it with the other digital formats of the time that were kind of trying to take over from cassette. So DAT, DCC, and then Minidisc. I have a DCC player, which it's one of the early recorders. It's the same one that you've probably seen on other channels, that Philips, I think it's the DCC 900. They are problematic players, and I've been trying to get mine fixed. There have been a lot of videos on how to get these things fixed. There's DCC Museum has a whole thing on it, and you've probably seen Techmoan dealt with them. Colin from This Does Not Compute, he has one of these players, and he had to get his fixed through them as well. I tried to work on mine myself. If you catch them early enough before the capacitors kind of blow up and leak all over the boards, like you can usually just replace those caps and keep going. I did that on mine. My boards actually look fine, but I did that, and now the player is just completely broken. Like I was at least getting some levels before. They were just very low on analog tapes. I didn't have any pre-recorded digital tapes to test with. They're pretty expensive. So, but now when I put in a analog cassette, I just get nothing. So, and I've tried recording digitally. I do have a blank tape and get nothing that way either. So went through the same thing with DCC Museum about getting the replacement boards. I mean, I'm fine paying a little money. Like, I'm not a big DCC guy, but I'll pay a little money, and you know, I have the money for my hobby. I'll pay it and get the player fixed and probably use it once for this video and then never use it again. So I contacted them, you know, and I was trying to set that up, and it turns out, like, at the last minute, oh, you got to sign up for this, a year of Patreon, in order to be able to buy these parts from us. And honestly, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I don't like stuff like that. I don't like it where I just want to pay you money for a service and a product, and you tell me then that I have to subscribe to something to do that, which just increases the cost. It's a first of all, it's an unadvertised cost. Second of all, I don't want to subscribe. Like, I'm trying to just give you money, you know, just tell me how much it is and I will pay you the money to have the thing fixed. But no, so it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I kind of just said, all right, forget it. So now I don't have a DCC player or recorder that I can compare the Minidisc player with. I don't have a DAT recorder. I've been trying to get one of those for a long time. And then the other thing I was trying to do for this video is actually get digital recordings into my computer via an audio interface, which seems like it should be possible. And from what I've read, actually is possible, but I can't get it to work. So, you know, if anyone out there can help me with that, give me some advice on how to actually get this done, feel free to let me know. I have it's an older Creative Labs 0404 USB audio interface. It has an optical input. The player has an optical output. Yeah, I know there's copy protection and all that, but for one thing, I should be able to make one copy. I don't know how it would work that on PC, but also I don't even know how it's detecting. Like, it's an audio interface. It's a professional audio interface. It's not like I'm trying to copy to another Minidisc player or something like that. So I've read that it's supposed to be possible. I've got my audio interface hooked up. The audio interface is working. I can hear the Minidisc player through it sometimes, depending on how I have the interface set up, but I just can't get an actual recording on the PC no matter what I do. So yeah, like, these are the things that have held me up from this video. So, but I'm gonna get something done, hopefully, in the next 10 days. And I may end up just having to cut a whole bunch of crap out of this video. Anyway, another thing, so, like, I've already talked about, you know, how I hate videos of people, like, saying, I quit, and, you know, YouTube isn't worth it anymore, and all this. I'm not trying to turn this into another one of those, but I do want to talk a little bit about retro channels in general. Channels covering all kinds of retro technology, audio, video equipment, computers, games, like the same kind of stuff that I'm doing. I mean, am I doing it? Like, I'm doing it once in a while now. I used to do it more often, but I watch a lot of these other channels too. And, you know, it's entertainment for me, as well as occasionally making it. And one of the things that I'm noticing as YouTube has matured and these channels have gotten big and they're trying to make videos every week or whatever, I think they're running out of things to talk about. And I feel the same way. Like, I look for topics that interest me that I can cover, and it's like, well, first of all, 20 other people have already done that, and they've done it better than I could. Or they're picking, like, really obscure subjects that I don't care about. And I've been guilty of that probably myself, even going back several years. Like, for example, when I did the video on the MP Man, and that was the first ever MP3 player, and nobody cared. Same thing with, like, the Nintendo TV Game 6. That was Nintendo's first game console. Got, like, no views. And you know, sure, these videos were not to the standard of a modern YouTube video, probably. But at the time, they were better than most, and still, like, nobody cared. And like, I don't want to keep doing that. It kind of taught me the lesson that, you know, just because there's a big name attached or a product category that people are into doesn't mean they're going to want to watch every video. And I'm seeing that now with these other channels that some of them I used to watch a lot, and I'm not going to really name names, but, you know, a lot of like million+ subscriber channels out there covering the same kind of stuff that I'm doing. And they've just kind of gotten so niche in what they are covering. And it's probably because all the big stuff has already been covered by them and by others. And that's kind of the challenge that I have too. Like, even as a hobbyist, like even as someone who just makes videos once in a while, is like, what can I even talk about anymore? So that's been one of my challenges over time. And it's one of the reasons actually why I started this channel, because I can just talk about whatever I want, even though I haven't done a lot of videos here either. But so I've got specific problems with this Minidisc video that they're solvable. But the larger issue, I think, with running a channel like this is, how do you keep finding new topics to talk about that people are actually interested in? I mean, you can keep going down rabbit holes and talk about like, oh, how do they make like pins for chips on motherboards and stuff like that? Like, who cares? Nobody cares. I don't want to make videos that nobody cares about. So it's getting harder and harder to keep a channel like this going. Especially as a hobby. But you know, I imagine like the people who are I imagine the people who are doing it as a living are finding it just as difficult. And I've seen the views on their videos going down, down, down. And yeah, some of that's competition, and views on my videos too have gone down. Some of that's competition, and that's where you're getting a lot of these YouTubers quitting. But I don't know why the light behind me keeps changing. Anyway, but some of it is competition. Some of it is just the subjects they're talking about are not subjects people care about. And there's only a finite number of things you can talk about when you're doing a retro technology channel before you start getting into like really into the weeds. All right, well, hopefully the light is fixed. I had it on battery power without even realizing it. It's now on mains power, so it should work. Anyway, so that's my little rant about YouTube and, you know, what's kind of happened as channels have proliferated and things have matured and blah, blah, blah. And this is an issue that I think YouTube is going to have over time with a lot of different types of content, I think. For example, I don't think I've ever really mentioned this before, but I'm kind of a watch guy. And this is something I can talk about on this channel. This is one of the reasons why I have this channel. I'm kind of a watch guy. I don't have a watch channel. And by watch, I mean like wristwatch. But there's a whole community around that as well. And it's kind of just as nerdy and just as like in the weeds as people who are into retro tech. And, you know, they're probably comparably expensive in terms of hobbies. I mean, some of this retro tech has gotten ridiculously expensive. I mean, you go out or like try to find like an Amiga 4000 and tell me how much it's going to cost you. It's going to cost almost as much as this watch. So they're actually pretty comparable, and they have comparable communities. There are a lot of YouTubers out there talking about like both vintage watches, new watches, repairing watches, restoring watches. I mean, some of these channels really get into it. But just like with retro tech, like a lot of these watch channels are just getting down into subjects that are, they're either repeating each other endlessly, they're repeating themselves endlessly, or they're just talking about stuff nobody cares about. It's a problem all across YouTube, and it's only going to get worse. And I don't really know what the solution is, other than eventually YouTube's just going to implode because there's just too much content. It's probably not going to happen, but I think the content that you're seeing on YouTube is going to vastly change over the next 10 years or so, just like it did, you know, between now and the 10 or 15 years prior. I mean, think about YouTube 15 years ago. We were just watching cat videos. So yeah, it's going to be different. And, you know, some of us are probably going to just jump off at some point. But anyway, so last thing, I want to use this channel partly to kind of promote things that I'm personally interested in. So at the end of every one of these videos, I'm probably going to just do kind of a show and tell, or just a tell, or whatever, of what I'm interested in at that moment that I think you guys might also be interested in. A lot of that's probably going to end up being music. I've been a musician all my life. Well, I mean, not since birth, but, you know, since grade school, at least. I played the saxophone. I was pretty good at it, but did not continue that after high school. I was in my high school marching band, but I also started playing bass in high school, had a band. We recorded an album. We played a bunch of shows. It was fun, but obviously that did not continue. And over time, started playing 6-string guitars. I've got a nice little collection of 6-string guitars. You've probably seen some of them in the background of some of my very early videos. Never done a video actually showing any of them. I may do that here sometime. But yeah, so I still play. I'm still way into music, all different kinds of stuff. I was into different things at different times in my life, but as I've now gotten older, it's all just one big mass of stuff. So, you know, classic rock, alternative, metal, electronic music, all sorts of, like, mostly different forms of pop, I guess you could call it, but basically all forms. Like, you know, I'll listen to Taylor Swift if it's one of her good songs. But yeah, I've talked about Fazerdaze here on this channel before. I've actually played some Fazerdaze. Fazerdaze is a person, not a band. She has chosen the name Fazerdaze because Amelia Murray, which is her real name, just sounds too singer-songwriter-y. She didn't want to be a singer-songwriter type of person, so she named herself Fazerdaze. She puts out kind of dream poppy, kind of big sounding, almost a few years ago I would call it retro sounding because shoegaze had kind of gone away. She was never trying to make shoegaze music. I don't think she even knew about it. She just kind of stumbled on this sound that sounded a lot like bands I used to listen to in the 90s. I'm just going to throw up a picture of my college dorm at this point, my dorm room. You can see my Lush posters up there. That's what I was into at that time. And Fazerdaze sounds a lot like that. You know, some of her stuff is kind of dream poppy. Some of it is a little more on the punk side, just like Lush. Some of it is a little more electronic. And there are a few songs are even just almost kind of R&B. But it's all good, you know. And she's just come out with a new song, coming out with a new album. New song, and actually there's going to be another new song probably by the time I put this up. So check that out too. But right now, the song that is out there is Cherry Pie. Don't be put off by the title. It is not a cover of the Warrant song. It's a totally different song. But I think it's like the best thing she's ever done. It's kind of poppy, but it's got that big shoegaze dream poppy kind of sound. It's a beautiful song. It's about getting older, which is what's happening to all of us. So, you know, I kind of identify it. I identify right from the first verse where she talks about being in the skies of LA. That's me. So, yeah, it's a great song. Go check it out. It's on YouTube. The album Soft Power is coming, I think, in November. It's on Bandcamp. You can order it there. You can also order it, I don't know, elsewhere, but I ordered mine on Bandcamp because you can get one direct from New Zealand, and she'll sign it if you opt for that. Anyway, yeah, go check her out. She's great, and I want her to do well. She's also really, really nice. I've actually chatted with her a couple times online. I've seen her live twice. They were great shows, and you know, she deserves to have more fans. She's doing everything herself. So, well, not everything. I mean, she's got a team, but she's very like doing almost everything herself in her bedroom. So, and it's great. So go check it out. She should have more fans. And yeah, the new song is out now. It's a little different than Cherry Pie, but still really good and very personal. She wrote a little story about it. And yeah, it's kind of about how she was feeling in her time away, I guess. Anyway, yeah, that's probably about it for now. I'll hopefully do these a little more often. I'll probably do these a little more often. Other videos maybe a little less often, or as often, because it hasn't been very often as I've been doing them. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.